My name is Nick and welcome back to Cabin View Ventures. So it's actually the next day. All the work you saw I did yesterday, but I only had about 2 hours to get stuff done. So I wanted to just put my head down and work. Now I got this bay cleaned out. There's a little bit of hickory left in here, which I'm gonna bag up and put down in the roadside stand later today. But this bay is ready to go for its next load of firewood. Now the next rack I'm gonna put in here is actually right behind us. There's about 2 cords in this, and that stuff is almost seasoned, but I don't wanna put it in here quite yet. So it is early September in central Pennsylvania, and our weather stays pretty nice through September. Temps are usually in the low to mid 70s, low humidity, plenty of sunshine. So I wanna keep this wood outside as long as possible to get a little more drying time on it. It's really close. It probably needs another month, maybe 2, and then it's gonna be ready to sell. But the longer we can keep it out, the better. Once we hit October, then we really need to pay attention to the weather, because around here, we could get summer-like weather. It could be 80 degrees, or we could get our first snowstorm of the year. So one more month, and then we'll start to pay close attention to the weather. I also got a trailer load of firewood brought out to my mom's house. That wasn't quite a cord, but that should be just enough to top off her woodshed. And that was all hickory and ash that's been seasoning for almost 2 years. So that's gonna give her some really nice firewood to burn this winter. Now, the main topic I wanna get to today is something that has really surprised me with this L4060. I haven't had this tractor very long, but this is something I noticed pretty quick, and I think it's really important that we talk about this. All right, so I wanted to pull this out so you had a better view of it. All right, so what has surprised me the most with this Grand L4060 is how much more power this tractor has compared to my previous Kubota, the L3901. And this tractor only has 4 more horsepower, but a whole lot more weight on top of that. So this tractor is about 1,000 pounds heavier than the L3901. I figured the extra weight would cancel out the extra horsepower, but I was completely wrong. And I think it's important to talk about because I feel like the 40 horsepower Grand L is a very overlooked tractor. I mean, I did it myself when I was shopping for an upgrade. I mean, I went from, this tractor has 40 net horsepower. The L3901 has a net horsepower of 36.3. So, you know, really close to a 40 horsepower tractor in the L3901. So, you know, I figured going from, you know, almost a 40 horsepower tractor to an upgrade, I would want to go to 50 horsepower. And I was actually looking at the MX 5400. So when I settled on the Grand L's, you know, I was thinking same thing, the L5460 or possibly a 5060. Didn't even look at the 4060s until I really started to price shop and feature shop and look at the hydraulic systems in comparison to everything else in that lineup. So where the 4060 falls is you start off with a 3560, then you go up to the 4060, you've got a 47 horsepower, a 50 horsepower, a 54 horsepower, and a 60 horsepower. So you're almost at the bottom of the lineup in all the Grand L's with the 4060. Where I noticed the power difference compared to the L3901 is when I was hauling bucket loads of firewood around my property. I don't have much flat space on my property. So when you're hauling materials around, you're going up or down hills. And in the L3901 in low gear, because they both that L3901 and this 4060 have a 3-range hydrostatic transmission, low, medium, and high. Now this has the addition of a low and high for each one of those 3 ranges because it has the hydrostatic plus. But with the L3901 in low range at about 2,500 RPMs with a bucket load of firewood going up one of my hills, you would hear and feel, you know, a slight bog in the engine. It wasn't much, you know, it didn't really slow you down, but you could hear and feel that power loss from going up that steep hill in low gear. This L4060 in medium range at 2,000 RPMs with a lot more weight, a bigger bucket, so a lot more firewood, you feel zero power loss going up that hill. And the first time I did it, I was like, oh wow, like, you know, I'm in medium. I figured I would need to be in low range to do this job. But in medium low, at a lower RPM, and not feeling any power loss going up the hills, I was absolutely blown away. Now, I've only done, well, I've moved bucket loads of firewood, a couple bucket loads of dirt, and I've moved a couple of my firewood totes around. And I'm never above 2,000 RPMs when I'm doing any of that work. So why does this tractor feel so much more powerful than the L3901 with only slightly more horsepower? And the only thing I can attribute it to is, you know, the bigger engine. This is a 4-cylinder diesel engine versus the 3-cylinder diesel engine in the 3901. So this must have a lot more torque than that 3-cylinder diesel engine has. I don't know the torque rating between the two, but I can't think that there's enough transmission difference to you know, make up for that lack of horsepower. So I'll have to look that up, or if any of you guys out there know, you know, hit me up in the comments and, you know, let us know what the torque difference is between the two, because I think this 4060 is going to be plenty of horsepower for a lot of you out there that are shopping for a large compact tractor. Now that 3901 could handle just about any task I needed it for around my property. Brush cutting, moving bucket loads of stone, bucket loads of dirt, firewood poles. The only thing I really couldn't do was lift up my firewood totes because I didn't have enough lifting capacity with that 3901. This tractor's got more than enough lifting capacity. If you saw my last video, I did a pretty good demonstration with one of my really big firewood totes and how high and easily I can move that with this LA805 loader. So don't shy away from this 40 horsepower tractor because you think you need a 50 horsepower tractor. This thing is a whole lot less money than the L5060 and the L5460. And for me, you know, it is plenty of horsepower for what I'm going to be using it for on my property. And, you know, I do a lot of typical stuff that anybody else would do with this size tractor. You know, moving materials, brush cutting, grading with the box blade. So, you know, I think this is a good fit for a lot of people out there, and, you know, will also save you quite a bit of money. All right, guys, we are going to wrap things up today by filling up some firewood bags and reloading the roadside stand. The firewood business is definitely getting busier now that the nights are cooling down. So business keeps increasing, which is a great thing. All right, so like always, thanks for joining me. If you like the content, please subscribe, hit that like button, and I will see you guys on the next one.